Bobby Newman, I guess he'll get him with us. It's time to start. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And actually, the only thing on the agenda is Mr. Chuck Dills, who's going to present for review a motion to approve Sheriff's annual budget, cumulative quarter report, and annual settlement for calendar year 2018, and also the annual order setting maximum amounts of deputies assisted for 2018. There comes Bobby. So, we got everybody here. And Sheriff Dills, the floor is yours.
All of you received a copy of it, did you? Yeah, basically, in past years, we've actually put together more of a budget, but Brian had contacted local government after we've been directed for years to do a budget a certain way that they advised us just put our revenue in since we fee pool, and that's what we're basing off the estimate of the revenue that we're anticipating taking in as fees. It was the $892,640,000. And then on the salary caps, it's based off of previous years on salaries with anticipation of the retirement increases and things that we based the 1.4 on. Anybody have any questions?
Chuck, can I ask you a stupid question?
Okay.
I know you've been going to a lot of these pension meetings.
Yes.
What you propose, what you got for us to look at tonight, if they propose something contrary to the present pension plan and goes like the 401k, how will this offset this?
Your grandfather did, didn't you?
Yeah, but these numbers are based off of what they're anticipated to be this year, but we won't know until the next few weeks.
Well, that's what I was saying, you know.
Yeah, once they get a bill prepared. But we've got enough, we should have enough, don't you feel, Brian, on the salary
KRS.
cap? We actually increased it, and this really means no more than if it's too low, then we've got to come back and adjust it. So you all have to approve it in July anyway for the
Right,
budget,
right.
so.
In KRS, Kentucky Retirement System, me and Peggy talked about it, they put out the worst case scenario. It's probably not gonna be that
It
high
won't be.
once the bill's formed, but here's the worst case so cities and counties can get their
Well,
budgets.
that's the only thing I was saying, you know, we're projecting something now, and we know it's gonna change.
And do you recall for the hazardous versus non-hazardous, those projections, it was like, what, 30-some%?
32 to 48, I think.
Yeah, almost 48.
Okay, so it's went up a little bit since the last I heard, because the
But
cap.
yeah, the next 2 weeks, we're gonna find out
Okay.
Yeah, we will.
the facts.
Sorry, did I jump ahead anybody? We got any more questions for Chuck?
I don't have any additional clarity questions.
Bobby, you got more questions for him?
No, I make a motion that we approve the sheriff's annual budget, as proposed.
Okay.
I second.
Okay. Back on the road.
Pat, do you have the specifics on there about the cumulative quarter report, the annual settlement for the calendar year 2018, and the annual order amount setting the maximum salaries? Do you want that in the proposal or in the motion?
I've got it in the minutes that way.
Got it.
All
Okay.
under the motion.
I vote yes.
Magistrate Kodak? Yes. Magistrate
Or
Newman?
I second the motion and vote yes. Did you second? Okay,
I
got it.
thought Magistrate Kodak seconded.
She
She
did.
did.
I did. I did. All right, so Bobby made a motion. Sean
She
seconded.
seconded. I voted
Voted
yes
yes.
as you called the roll.
All right. Judge Wood?
Yes. I kinda got confused. I kinda got confused. Okay, thanks, Magistrate, for all that. Okay, well, now, I'll remind the court that the next meeting of this court will be held Tuesday, January 16th, 2018 on Monday, January 15th, 2018, no wait a minute, it's the 16th.
We're doing it on the 16th.
Yeah, because Martin Luther King. That's all, so it'll be another special meeting,
That's correct.
January 16th. And, Do I have a motion to adjourn?
This-
Judge,
Is that 7 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Judge, and I just wanted to remind the court, that I will be out of town and absent that
No,
day, so
no, we can't.
just acknowledging, re-acknowledging.
All right, did I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All
I'm
in
assuming
favor?
everybody votes yes to adjourn.
Everybody
Yes.
votes yes. to
Yes.
adjourn. All right, let's just go on over into our meeting, and I think we need to talk EMS. So, I will say a couple things. I'm gonna let Jack and I met with, some people the other day, Mayor Skinner and Councilman and, people we've been talking to. And I'd just like to say that we decided that we need to do a bid for this job. We're putting it, have you put it in the paper yet?
No, I have not.
We haven't approved it yet. Okay, we're gonna put it in the paper, and we're kind of not really starting all over again, but we wanna make sure we cover our bases, that, you know, we do this fair and square. So it'll be put in the paper, and the two entities, or if there's more, can put their bid in on this project. And with that being said, I mean, I don't wanna be too short, but I don't know there's a whole lot more to talk about.
On that, Judge, on the bid that we put in the paper, did we put the parameters of the bill,
I do not have those yet.
or you don't have those?
No.
So,
We'll do a request for proposals. That's what that will.
And a part of the bid process, I would expect that this isn't ready to be published in the paper yet or shared with the respective parties yet. But I was envisioning that the formal bid process would include, the services that we would expect to be bidded upon, like, so what is the criteria we're looking for? Because if you look at it today, in spirit of, attempting to compare apples to apples, you have an AMR proposal that was a one-page summary, and then
That was just a bid.
or bid, and then we have, the other option, Dry Ridge, which, hasn't had the opportunity, yet to formalize, to put anything in writing as to what their, service level agreements would be. Part of the bid process, I would expect there to be, this proposal includes to provide 3 trucks and the number of hours, and here's the dollar amount that you would pay for. And so, to your point, Shauna, none of us have seen that because it hasn't been documented yet or developed yet. That was just discussed on Friday, that I think in spirit of transparency, the best that we can do when we're talking the dollar amount that is projected to be spent on this service is to do a formal request for a proposal. And so I would think in the next couple days, and working with the county attorney and looking at other examples for the such proposal, that would be developed, that I hope that each of us can input in before it's published. The other thing I wanted to say, which I'm pleased that the decision is that we will formally bid in spirit of getting the best apples to apples comparison as it pertains to service, is I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But as we have spoke at the last meeting, I am still uncertain and unclear if the city of Crittenden is willing to enter into an interlocal agreement, of which I would be requesting before we submit and request for bids, that we ask for both Williamstown.
I'll have that for you tomorrow.
Okay, well, and so I would request that Williamstown and Crittenden communicate to us in writing, whether it's a memorandum of understanding, that they do have a commitment that they will enter into an interlocal agreement, that we as a county would ask for them to pay their fair share according to population. I feel like if we journey down the path of seeking a bid when we aren't certain if Crittenden wants to be a part of the county solution, or if they're going to seek their own service, then I think we need that commitment to know what it is that they're doing first.
Well, I really should have called the mayor today, and I apologize. I told him I'd call him, I did not. I'll call him tomorrow.
Justin, to add to your point, I spoke with the mayor twice, I think, he's called me, and I had a meeting with, Mr. Purcell last week, and we had a lengthy discussion on this, and I was gonna bring up tonight, Jacqueline, a ditto to what you just said.
Yeah.
You know, I had one council member said that kind of they felt like that Crittenden needed to step up to the plate and go along with this, but I've got 3 or 4 other mixed emotions that says that they don't feel like writing a blank check for $75,000 out of monies that hasn't been allocated to that. And I told Jim that we had a caucus meeting tonight, and I wish he'd have showed up, but I don't see him here. But I told him, I said, I feel as a magistrate representing Crittenden, that they need to commit before I can, as a magistrate, can vote on, you know, I gotta vote on the way they feel. And I was gonna go to the next city council meeting
I think it's a great idea, Bobby.
and just say, hey, you know, I wanna take something back to the court, and you either go, I wanna vote to enter upon this interlocal agreement, or you all need to research and go with whoever they wanna go with.
Which would allow the cities to bid for their own service, and the county, which would leave the county to bid for the non-city limits territory. So Steve, to your point and to Bobby's point, I feel like we aren't completely yet to request for formal bids until we get, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, a memorandum of understanding. That would be suffice to state that they have intentions to enter into an interlocal agreement in the future? Or what would that look like?
Probably haven't heard
Okay.
anything from the cities. In the same token, we go with Dry Ridge, we're still at Tevin.
Correct,
Right.
that's still regardless of who we go with, I feel like that needs to be put in place.
Yeah, I agree.
Which would then further allow us to fine tune what the formal bid
I
specs would
think,
be.
I've talked to all 3 of you, and I don't mean to jump ahead of you guys, but nobody wants a taxing district. And I think 2 of the reasons are, we just don't need another tax right now. I don't think, and I've talked to a lot of people, they're not for it, because they don't like a board telling them what to do when we've got elected people to do the job for them. Now, that's what I'm getting from the streets of people I talk to. So I did tell the mayor that we won't be going with that unless you all want to override me on that, whatever you want to do.
Well, another thing I'd like to say too, today I reached out to Rich Orland at KCO.
Okay.
And, he's not responded back. I did draft a letter to him asking those things. Is it legal to geographically go outside and bid just the outer regions and leave the cities out of the bid? Just to answer those questions legally so we can get moving on which way that legally we're allowed to go. And also about the double taxation issue that Crittenden has a question about. But hopefully he'll get back to me within a day or 2 or call me, so we'll
Okay.
answer some, but I've already.
Did you talk to the mayor of Crittenden too?
No, I've not talked to the mayor of Crittenden. I just got that composed this afternoon and sent it to Rich, so hopefully he'll be getting back to me.
I think it's about it, you know, to talk about that.
At least we are progressing on it, and
Yeah, I thank y'all for doing your work, Bobby. Y'all meet with them, and I think you do good. And you know, I would like to say this, and I don't know how Dry Ridge feels about it, but you know, they did say they wait till, if we go with them, to the 1st of July to even start building. So Crittenden, when they put it in their budget, you know.
Well, all of us would be, because at this point, only the city of Dry Ridge has anything slated in their budget for this service. So, I mean, the rest of us would have to modify our budget.
Yes, we would.
The other cities
Yes,
and
we
at
would.
the county level, should an agreement be reached or required to be reached before July 1st.
Okay.
Now, you think these mayors should be reaching out to Dry Ridge or
Well, they talked to Dry Ridge.
Uh,
Jimmy's talked to them.
But I'm saying if Living Good does not want to go into this
Oh, I see what
agreement
you're
with
saying.
us, he's gonna have to negotiate with Jimmy and
Jimmy or
AMR to
somebody
see who he's
else.
gonna stay with.
Yes,
Okay.
but I mean, that's the way I'm.
Have they talked to you about that, Jimmy?
Well, that being said, I just wanted to tell y'all a couple of things, and we found unless somebody has any questions. I am decided, you all, our door's getting in real bad shape on the building. It's not gonna be that much. We got in the budget, but I'm gonna replace the 3 doors outside the building. There's cracks in them and everything, and this cold air is coming around and everything. So I'm gonna get that done.
The front doors or the back?
Front, back, and
And
side.
that side, okay, so all.
We just got you, that's all I'm gonna do, I don't want y'all to get all excited or anything. Now, the last thing, and I know this will be a controversial thing, but, you know, I really want to give the guys a raise, and I'm not talking about just the road department, I'm talking about everybody. And I know that you're all a little concerned that we don't have the loan paid off, but I've done some research today myself, and we will have probably, after this the payment that comes in now, we'll probably have almost $3.5 million. And they only had one raise in 2 years. Well, it's almost 2 years they haven't had a raise. And more than a money problem, I think it's a morale problem. You know, I just really am concerned about morality and everything. And I respect y'all for what y'all say. I hope you respect me when I say. But I would like to, in the next meeting, put it on the agenda. Y'all vote the way you want to. But I would like to give even the sheriff's department a raise. I want to give everybody a raise. We've got it all worked out, Peggy and I, is how much it costs us and everything. And we will have plenty of money left over. But I want y'all's thoughts on it and tell what you think. And if you vote no on it next week, that's just fine. I sure wish you consider it. I think they deserve it. The boys were out at 2 o'clock this morning on the roads while we were in bed. Steve called me too. Said they're going out. That really shouldn't affect your decision. I just want to know that they are out working. Sheriff's Department's put a lot of time in, and quite frankly, my office staff, I might give them a raise. And Rhonda, you wrote that letter. You know, I don't know how much y'all want to give her, but I've got to go with that for her too. She's way below on the salary cap. And I want to leave it open for discussion. I want y'all to say what you feel. You won't offend me or anything. I've talked to Jack at one Bobby, he gave me an answer through her, even though I didn't talk to the person. Sean, you didn't give me an answer, but I didn't call you back. You said you think about it.
Yeah, I was in a position I couldn't talk. No, I don't, as far as raises go, before I'd ever consider anything until the whole loan is paid off, for one thing. And, you know, being April 1st, I mean, right now, we should be in our planning time for the raises effective on July 1st. And if you give a raise in April, what are you gonna do in July? Give another one? I think these are questions that we have not asked ourselves.
I wouldn't want to.
You know,
That'd be-
and another thing is, you know, I would have to see simulations on a 24-month forecast on what it's gonna do each month, because if we're going into AMR or, you know, we're going to go with Dry Ridge, either one, we're gonna have another amount coming out of the budget, and it's not that I don't wanna give a raise, it's just that, you know, we should really be planning to, I think we wanted to approach leveling out and categorizing things as to where people should really be. So just to go in and say a 3% without even any logical.
Well, I thought all this, Peggy, we just go in there. She said it'd be just fine. She wrote all that. And I know you requested some numbers. Peggy feels good about it. I mean, she's our treasurer. What can I say? She's the treasurer.
Well,
It feels good in seeing the data is too different, and the simulation of such as it pertains to the retirement, that the House bill hasn't been, published yet as to what the hazardous and non-hazardous duty will look like. In addition to the CPI that's published from Frankfurt will not be released until February. And I support, you know, providing raises under the context of a few things. One being that the 4th payment is paid back on the $2.5 million that was borrowed. 2, that the occupational tax is dialed back before July 1st. If you are proposing to us to provide salary increases, I would like to see that the loan's paid off and the occupational tax is dialed back as soon as possible. And if that means coinciding with potential raises for employees, then I'd be willing to entertain that. But otherwise, I think it's premature to come up mid-year and request across the board raises when we haven't simulated yet what those raises look like. I haven't seen it, and Peggy's working on that, in addition to the retirement aspect and simulating what that's going to look like for these budgets. The research that I've done with the occupational tax coordinator and with Peggy, and I propose this, for discussion, is that we can pay back the fourth payment as early as, February 5th, which would actually give us a credit of almost 2 months of interest that we've already paid for. We've paid interest to March 30th, of which that fourth payment could be paid back February 5th. That would allow Colton the time to communicate to the businesses within this community that the occupational tax could be dialed back effective April 1st. And then from there, I would be more compelled to support providing raises earlier than in a new budget that would go in effect July.
Well, I've said all along, in a poor county like Grant County with the tax base and all that stuff, that it's hard to compete, but there's not a doubt in my mind that everybody in this county needs a raise. I'm ashamed that I'm part of a system that allows people to make the low salary they got. I voted no the last time, and I may vote no this time too, Steve.
Well,
The reason I voted no the last time was the inconsistency of the damn raises. Now,
Yeah, you did. You're right.
you and me might have different viewpoints, that's fine. But until I can see something that's consistent, I'm not gonna vote for this guy to get $2, this guy to get $1. I don't care who's putting them tax out, it's wrong. They do the same job, their job entails the same thing, and Chuck's got a crew of guys, and every guy that he works for him needs to be on the same page. The road department needs to be on the same page, and it's not our fault that it's got stagnant to this point. But I'm not going to vote for a raise unless someone can show me some consistency.
Okay. By the way, I didn't say anything at all. The jail is involved in that too. The raise is going to involve you guys.
So for clarity,
Because
it
y'all
would
need a
be
raise
all
over there.
county employees that we would be considering.
Well, we figured out that, I'm the best of my knowledge, and I know about, compilations and stuff like that, but I figured by the time we put the raise, we'll have over $3.5 million in cash. That's what figured I figured that. And if that's not enough to carry us over, if we pay off the thing, pay off the loan.
Well, to me, it's not, it's principle and following up on the commitment that was made to this community when the occupational tax was implemented. And what was communicated was that the loan would be paid back as soon as possible, and that the occupational percentage would be dialed back as soon as possible. And I feel that it is premature and not the appropriate thing to spend county tax dollars that basically was generated off of that occupational tax, and not addressing that first.
Well, see, Jack, I want to argue, Lou. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Why did we raise the tax? So we could do things, so we could buy stuff, give raises and stuff. And we're at the point now where we're out of the hole in pretty good shape.
We're not out of the hole until that
Yes, we are.
payment
No,
then let's pay that off.
It's coming in.
And then I think we
We've
should
got a
pay
history.
it off.
We've got a
February
history
5th.
of what's coming in every quarter. We've got a history.
There-
And matter of fact, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you. When we first talked about raising before, you said, I'm not comfortable doing this until we get a little history behind us. And I remember you saying this, I'll look it up, going to you said, if we get at least a couple payments in to see where we stand, what the history is. You know what the history is now, and you know what's bringing in.
Yes, and I support paying off the loan as soon as possible, and that, through our analysis, there's no reason not to pay it off February 5th and dial back the occupational
Yeah, but you know
tax.
you have plenty of money to pay off the loan and pay raise.
Why wouldn't you support going ahead and paying it off?
I didn't say I wasn't.
Okay,
I told you mom said I wasn't supporting on paying. I'm telling you then I think the people deserve a raise.
And I think they do as well, and I think that they will get that, in my opinion, just as soon as this.
So you want to wait 6 months to get a raise? I mean, I'm
It may
mad.
not have to be 6 months. I
But
just
did you
sat
get a
here
raise
and
this
said
year?
that, Steve, that is not a part of this discussion. This
Well, it's
discussion is
people
this
working,
county
Jack, they're
business
trying
and
to
this
survive.
occupational
They
tax.
got car
alone.
payments, they got bills to pay and everything.
Yes.
They're making $11 an hour with the jail. They can't survive on that, Jacqueline.
What
I'm
you're
sorry.
doing right now, Steve, should have been done 3 years ago.
Say that again?
I said, what you're proposing right now, we should have done it 3 years ago.
I agree with you 100%. Bobby, I agree with you. But I don't mean to be defensive, Rick. I just want to tell you, it just bothers me that, you know, their attitudes are not, with the jail, we all start $11.
$11.
It's what you get after 7 years, too.
And I'll tell you the truth, I shouldn't say this, but I was hoping maybe in our budgeting, I was gonna put another $1 per hour raise for them, starting out over at the jail. We gotta get,
Well, and we talked about that as we done some 2 years ago when we addressed the starting salaries of deputies, which was just beginning to scratch the surface of the road deputies. And I think many of us have attested to the fact that the entry-level starting salary at the jail needs to be revisited, and I support doing that. Especially when this loan is paid back and the occupational money that is generated is available money, because there's no commitment to have to pay that note back, because it won't exist when it's paid off.
I'm listening to you, I disagree, but, because we got enough money to do this. Well, next week now, we'll put on the agenda and y'all vote however you want.
Well, I mean, here again, Steve, I think you're not listening to the fact of the matter that as magistrates, we've not seen any simulation. We haven't seen the House bill come out yet on what's gonna happen with hazardous and non-hazardous.
We talked about that.
But we haven't seen that. I mean, this is way premature, and I feel like you're trying to create some storm, just kind of a knee-jerk reaction out of nowhere, and I just ask, can we just take our time?
I've seen the figures, you know.
Well, if you've seen the figures, they haven't been shared with us.
Well, okay, we'll get it for you, but you're saying we can't give a raise to after we pay the loan off, we got plenty of money to pay the loan and pay it.
Then that's what I think we need to
Well, you know we
discuss.
do, think about what we're drawing in every quarter.
But you don't wanna cut back on to 1.5%, do you?
Not right now, do it in July, or whatever, or.
We're supposed to do it in April.
No, July, really. We were going to meet once a year. However, we could do that. I'm not saying we can't do it, okay? But I'm just saying to y'all, we gotta be careful. We don't want to get back in the same situation we were before. And I know y'all think maybe I'm being a little bit too tight, but I tell you what, I don't want the new judge to go back to people and say, God, we're in trouble again. We gotta go back up on this.
Well, I think that's also why we're stating we want to see some simulation. We want confidence on what the House bill is. I would love to see, Steve, what is the CPI coming out of Frankfurt? That would support, typically it's somewhere, it's been somewhere between 1 and 2 something in the past. But I haven't seen that, but I haven't even seen what this year's would be. And then I also know that there have been conversations stated on behalf of us magistrates as it pertains to raises, no raises, and I've had to make a personal phone call as to things that were stated on my behalf which weren't accurate, and I would just like us to take a pause, get the data, simulate it, and then come back and revisit, and more importantly, let's pay this 4th payment off, and let's get the communication sent for this occupational tax, and then if that means we can support collectively, providing raises April 1st, that rolls into the next year.
Did you say raise April 1st?
Yeah, could that be?
Oh, you're saying you'll give the raise?
Well, yeah,
Did you not just listen to
You
what I
I'm
just
not picking up
said?
on that yet, the raises. You said in July, the fiscal year.
Right.
You said the fiscal year.
You just didn't even, Steve, okay, let me replay back to you. If I said I would entertain, this gal right here would entertain potential raises if and when the note's paid off and the occupational tax is
You
down
didn't
back.
tell me that meeting the other day.
Yes, I did, and I just sat right
Hey,
there and
Jack,
said it.
you said you wouldn't do it till July.
Steve, I said I would entertain in April, earlier, before July, if you agreed to pay it off, and I told you,
Oh,
Mr.
you got a
Wood,
deal.
this is the first
You got a
I heard,
deal.
if you recall, I said, this is the first I
You
heard.
got a deal.
Well, amen. And you had said to me that you would support paying it off sooner, and it was the first that I heard you commit to wanting to pay it off sooner, and I said, that's very pleasing, that's exactly what we need to be doing.
But I walked out of that meeting with you, I didn't get the impression,
But then you did not, okay, then you did not hear me.
Okay.
Or, just leave it at that. And that's what I've also just sat right here and said. So,
One
Which
thing
I can, sometimes you talk pretty fast, I apologize.
well, I'll slow
Sometimes I
down
don't
for
pick
you.
it up.
One thing I want to express for myself and to the employees, I get a feeling that it's presented that the fiscal court does not want raises for you employees. That is not the case. All I'm saying is let's do it in a very logical and methodical manner. And, you know, as saying, like Jackman did, let's get the loan paid off, let's get the occupational tax down, and then let's address the raise. And be it April or July, April would be fine with me, just understanding.
I'm glad to hear that.
Glad that, you know, just bear in mind that come July 1st, we don't know what we can do then. But as I said before, and Bobby expressed, you know, we would like, there is copies of a compensation plan, and I would like to address this whole situation with a compensation plan to back it up. I want to see it, and I also want to see a simulation with our occupational tax back down for the next 24 months to see what's that going to do in each bucket of the quarter.
Okay. Did you put that together?
I'm working on it.
What's your numbers? That's good, no, that's good. I like that. Okay, well, we'll come back.
So are you
That's
still
raise
gonna
your
have
hand.
this on the agenda next week?
What's that?
Are you still gonna have this on the agenda next week?
Yes.
She won't be here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, I mean, but I just, so it'll be on the special agenda, or special agenda for January 16th.
Well, that is when we're having the meeting, but
Well-
you'll be gone, won't you?
Yes, I will be, but I
Can she
just-
vote by abstention, or whatever it says?
No.
She has to be here. May put it off then, if you want.
I would request for such an important vote, I would request to be here if at all possible. In addition to that, so we're all clear on this topic, we agree and collectively no vote can be taken, but through conversation that there is support to pay back that fourth payment February 5th, with allowing Colton the time to communicate to the businesses that
He's
the
gotta have at least
occupational-
6 weeks.
Right, that the occupational tax could be lowered effective April 1st. Is that what we're,
I don't have a problem with that at all.
And I would also like to say that, you know, I don't want the 3% in stone, and I'd rather see the CPI.
Shauna, can't we get the girl, they haven't had a raise in 2 years. They had a 1% raise 2 years ago.
I'm just saying, I don't want it wrote in stone. I'm not gonna vote anything until I see.
Something to vote on.
Yeah.
That's Steve's fine.
well,
I'm just-
in fact,
I mean, I'm just not
Steve,
gonna
and
do
I
that.
asked Peggy to simulate, like a
Yes, she
2,
told
a
me.
2.5, or a 3, but I told her, hold off, because this is the very first we've even discussed this, in which it's supposed to be discussed tonight. And I also, you know, wanted to commit back to them and to Colton from a planning purposes standpoint, what they could expect as it relates to their workload, because Colton will need to develop communications, get them approved, you know, reviewed by legal, and to get them mailed out in a timely fashion.
We'll do it. We'll do it. We all want to do that. I just,
No, I think
I
what
remember when I used
happens
to work for
is,
somebody, and it was always neat to have a raise.
well,
When you haven't had a raise, and remember, we went through that time where we had freeze on everything, a freeze on everything. And they did a good job, everybody, the jail, the sheriff, everybody did a good job of back spending to get us through the year. And I'll never forget that, and I thank them eternally. I thought it was great what they did. I really mean that. And, but that's stopped, y'all. I'll go along
Well,
with
and
that.
I think what creates animosity is that we go ahead and we say, this is what we want, and then when somebody else comes back and says, whoa, it makes a good guy, bad guy situation. And,
How's that? I don't understand what you're saying.
well, if, just like I said, you wanting a 3, and we're saying, well, you know, let's don't put it in stone, then we become the bad guys as the fiscal court, and I think that keeps going on, and I sort of resent that.
Well, there's a prime example of that, an email that we received today from an employee. I mean, that's a prime example, a valid prime example of why discussions, you know, need to happen and simulation, because what was relayed to that individual was not accurate, on my behalf anyways.
I'm not picking up what you're talking about.
I'll follow up with you later.
Okay. Well, I'll meet with y'all later, maybe a little bit one-on-one, and then we'll talk, and I will hold off till you get back.
I appreciate that very
But
much.
sure, I'll be glad to do it. I want to work with you on this. I just,
And we want to work together.
Yes.
I know, I appreciate it. Well, okay, that's all I had on the invisible agenda to talk about tonight.
Judge, I have a couple questions. Do you mind if I just ask?
No.
Are you guys okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that you're gonna put the ambulance or EMS situation out to bid. One thing I'd like to know if you guys will take into consideration whenever you're doing that. I did some preliminary rough times. My concern are the trucks being here in the county if for AMR. They have the ability to station them because we didn't get that answer as far as where they're going to station these trucks. Okay, so my concern is if they're, and they kept telling us they were going to provide us as many trucks as needed. So if more things, they'll send them from Erlanger, they'll send them down. I would like to know if whenever you do your proposal to put your bid specs, that you require the vehicles to be in the county.
I agree.
Yes, Amy, that is a part of
We talked about
something that
that
we
with
wish
Jackson.
to have,
We
yes,
talked
sir.
about that.
You know, because 30 minutes from, you know, let's say they're at just the Florence.
I will give you one better. What I'm envisioning that bullet to look like on that spec is that there is to be, for example, throwing this out there, 2 ambulances always solely dedicated to 911 services, not one not to be leveraged for hospital transports or something.
Well, the way that they made it sound is that when those 3 trucks are dedicated to us, that they would not be for transports, that they would be for our EMS services alone. And they would pull another truck for transports. So if we're gonna be paying that much money, I think that those trucks need to be ours, meaning the counties. They need to be
I agree with you.
ours,
I
not,
agree with you.
you know,
Yes.
and I don't wanna have to make a phone call and wait 30 minutes for them to come down the interstate.
They have to be here.
They need to be in the counties.
Yeah, I
okay?
agree with you 100%.
So I'd like to see that, make sure that that is in the proposal as a requirement, because
Okay.
that may make a difference in the amount of monies that they're proposing, okay? I'm sorry, go
I'd
ahead.
like
Ms. Gorman.
to get a little bit of a snare on that too, working with the mobile workforce and aware of what it does. And I'm not taking sides, but I'm familiar with mobile workforce at a point where if you've got 2 already out, or just as soon as you have one out, you have one on the outer limits coming back in
Sure.
to, you know, so you've got people traveling all the time. So to say, I've got to have a truck sitting here all the time, could be to a certain point an inefficiency. So, you know, operations are different at different, the way people operate. So I think we need to be cognizant of that also.
And I do understand that, because we have the same issue
Yes.
as why we have one in the far ends of both counties, because, you know, there are different situations. However, I don't want to see the trucks be coming from the
Ridgewood.
Florence Hospital or the Erlanger Hospital. I understand if that third one is close to us, that's fine, but those other 2 need to be in the
En
county.
route. They need to be in the circle.
They need to be in the county. I mean, no, I'm not gonna make bones about that. They need to be in the county. I don't want them in Walton. I don't want them, you know, I want them in the county, because getting me to the county, depending on where you're at, you know, if you're, you know, out on Kiefer Lawrenceville Road and you're coming from Florence, it's bad enough getting from the hospital.
Well, I
all the
picture
way up
somebody,
there.
if they're on Kieferville Road with, you know, going to someone, once that person leaves for Kiefer Road, there ought to be another one en route from Erlanger already in to take his place.
And I don't disagree, But,
That's the way
but
of
if you only
efficiency
have
works.
if you only have one truck here at the time, there's so many times that multiple calls come in.
So,
You know, so I think if they're gonna designate two to us 24 hours, at least those two trucks need to be in the county to answer calls 24 hours. And that third truck can come and transport. When one goes out, that one needs to get close. But I think we need to at least have those trucks here at all times with that. The next thing that I would like to address is if you have addressed how the patients are billed. Multiple times it's been said that, you know, we need to do what's best for the citizens. And I agree. And I am one of those county citizens, okay? So that's where I'm coming from. My concern is if they are not contracted with an insurance company, I would hate to see an elderly person have a heart attack, have a fall, have something, and them get a call, okay? And if they're not contracted with the insurance to take what the allowable is, that means they can balance bill. Basically, that means if I charge you $5,000 to come, and I'm not contracted with your insurance, and your insurance says I pay you $100, fine, I take the $100, I'm billing you the other $4,900, okay? And they will go after, they're aggressive, they will go after our citizens for that payment. I don't want to see, because we save money as a fiscal court, someone lose their home or go into bankruptcy because they are getting balance billed for a for-profit company, okay? Now, I'm looking at that either way. If Dry Ridge did the same thing, I would have a concern because I have seen it. I've been in healthcare. I've seen where people balance bill. It can bankrupt someone. One, if it's something serious, they're out of work, they don't have income coming in, they have probably medical bills from the hospital where they've been taken, plus then they have this big transport bill. I mean, they're huge. And so that's one thing I'm concerned about is, and I'm not positive, to my understanding, they are not contracted with the insurances. So my concern be, and I don't know if we can put that in, something that there's only a certain amount that citizens can be billed. I don't want people losing their homes.
We had a discussion with them on that, and that was just because of having the visibility that you folks had contracts and me trying to do the very best to my ability to get an apples to apples comparison. And we will need to follow up to ask them because they're a national service provider, and they just don't provide service here in Kentucky. And so they have, a whole corporate office that handles their own billing.
They do. They take care of everything.
So we would just need to ask them that clarity because that specific example didn't come about. I was just asking them about, billing.
We all know, let's be honest, timing is everything in life. Timing affects everything.
It does.
And quite frankly, there could be a time when they're taking somebody up to Erlanger and still have 2 years and try to get back. But that could happen with you all.
Oh, every bit of it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say it bad.
Oh, no,
but it
I
could
understand. But that kind of stuff with the trucks, everything can happen. You could have a 10-car pile up on the interstate, and you could have every ambulance in the county, and it's not going to be enough. So I understand that, but I also understand that the likelihood of a response with someone here versus coming, 30 miles from the north is different. And then I have a concern again with the billing for our citizens with that.
And see if that's something that would be weaved into a formal.
See if y'all got another meeting planned
If you want it.
with
well,
AMR.
and I think we
You want
gotta
it.
be cognizant of the fact.
Bobby, if you want it, you got it.
Cognizant of the fact that, we can't, to a certain point, we can't dictate how a person operates his business.
You are 100%
That's true.
That's right,
correct.
they are in the business, that's their operation.
But what I want you to do is I want you to have that knowledge and
I'm
use that
aware.
knowledge when you make your decision. So that's what I'm trying to put out there.
Do you partial bill the balance to the?
No, we only do
Why do
allow.
you not do that? Is that probably?
It's illegal when you're contracted with an insurance company.
So let me ask you this, is it your all's choice to contract then?
Well,
is what you're saying?
Yeah, if we don't, we're not big enough. They are national, okay? They can go after people because they can go get the money. We can't do that.
So you're saying that's probably what's cutting in to what is creating a large deficit in your.
Correct.
format.
If they can balance bill, they're getting every penny because they're going to go after you. They don't care what they take from you. I can only get, and when I say I'm talking as the city, I can only get what the insurance tells me I'm allowed to bill, okay? So that was one of my concerns.
How long have you all been on contract billing?
Since the beginning,
Yeah.
Since the beginning of what?
the service, 17 years.
17 years ago?
And then my next point that I had, I'm sorry, I was taking some notes and some stuff that I had questions of. My next point would be the funding that would come from the fiscal court paying, regardless of what contract you would go with. I understand that part of it is being asked of the cities to pay, and then a portion, and then the county to pay.
Yeah, like you all presented.
Right. But even after thinking about it, I kind of had a question as to, you when you get your tax money in, regardless if it's from property taxes or payroll taxes, you don't have it split saying this much come from Dry Ridge, this much come from Crittenden, this come from Corinth, and this come from the county. And if it comes from Corinth, I can only spend this much on Corinth roads. It all goes in one pot, am I correct? And we divvy it up. My thing is how is it fair to use county money to pay for this service and ask the cities then to pay a portion also?
That's why we elected to go with the population
But,
format.
okay, but then are you going to give the citizens, so let's say Crittenden, if the city of Crittenden pays a portion, are you going to refund the citizens in Crittenden a portion of their county taxes?
Right now, we do the, scraping of the roads in Crittenden, we charge it.
Okay.
And also the sheriff's office charges it for service.
Yes.
So there's no difference.
I would question that also. I would question any of those
There's
services.
actually, KRS, that says that cities and or counties can go into, financial, obligations, agreements, if it is deemed to be in the best interest of the community and the citizens.
Okay.
And I didn't know that that existed because, and that's one question that we are continuing to research and to do our due diligence to make sure, is that even legal?
Right, and I guess
KRS,
that's kind of my question
That's why
is how
emailed
can
Keiko today.
how can we charge, if somebody's in Corinth, they pay their property taxes, they may work down there, say they, I know there's not a whole lot, but they work there and they pay payroll taxes. How can we say then that I'm using those tax dollars to pay for county services, but I'm not going to pay for those services for you? They have paid in the same as someone who lives in the county. They've paid their county taxes, and they may work in one of the cities and pay payroll taxes also. I just don't know how ethically and...
Ma'am, that's the reason I've been struggling with this with Crittenden.
Uh-huh.
When Crittenden went into the agreement with Chuck, they came to Chuck and us and asked for that agreement. When they came to the fiscal court before our time and asked about the road cleanup and stuff, they came to us. So see, that's the reason I'm struggling right now, and I've been talking to the mayor of Crittenden and some of the council members. I felt like it was up to them to come to us, come to AMR, or come to Jimmy and opt theirself to come our way. I talked to some of the people in Crittenden, thought it was a double tax.
And I could see that because they're paying the county and they're paying the city.
They live in the city, but they also live in the county.
Right.
And the meeting I had with them, they said, hey, people inside the city limits of Crittenden are getting double taxed.
Mm-hmm.
That's how a lot of them felt. And that's the reason that I've had meetings, and I'm going to continue having meetings, because whatever way I vote, it's got to be the right way and the honest, true way to go. I'm not going to vote for something in the fiscal court that Crittenden's against.
Sure.
So if Crittenden wants to enter this agreement, I'll support what Crittenden tells me.
And I guess my question, and I'm just trying to understand as a citizen, the same thing, that when I hear that they contract with the sheriff's office, is that not a county service?
No. Well, the cities have an obligation to provide whatever level of services that they wish to provide for their city, sewer,
Okay,
certain.
so then, I
Well-
guess my question is then, how can it be that you charge the county taxes for stuff that they don't get the services for? Because they have to pay it again with their city taxes. So how do we get away with that?
Well, I asked the same, I'm gonna ask the same question to you. If we paid $570,000.
Oh, it's
no,
gonna
wait,
come back
just
the
a
same
minute.
thing.
To you, we're using county funds to pay you for the same thing.
It's the exact, no,
It's the
I
exact
agree.
same
No,
thing.
I completely agree.
Yes, yes.
I completely agree with that. So,
Well, one
instead
thing
of
that I go
looking
back
at
to,
it,
the thing is that an ambulance service is not mandated in the county. It is a service that you can provide.
I
And
understand.
that's why we separated out when we took what we consider outlying population is what we're basing our composition of that payment on. And we subtracted Crittenden from it, took Dry Ridge out of it, we took, Williamstown and Corinth all out of that. So we could come up with, we felt like was a more fair share, so we would include that population.
But then have you looked at what your revenues coming in from just that population to make sure that your revenues
I'm not.
coming in?
That
Do
was
you
that
understand?
was the close, I understand where you're coming from, but that was the closest that we could get to it.
You know, just because if that's the people who are should be paying, then I want to make sure that we have the revenues from the, and I would be included in that because I'm out in the county, that those revenues coming in then are going to be paying for that bill for the county residents for that. You shouldn't be able to take the monies from the cities.
And that's where you're getting this, I think this push that Crittenden wants as a tax
Some
district.
Yeah.
So you remove all of it,
Certainly.
you know. I just don't think we're at that place yet. I think we'd be in a hurry to get that place.
Oh, and I agree.
Are we going
And that's
that way? Yeah, but right now we gotta make the best with what we got in order to serve the people, to give that need to the people. We definitely need the ambulance service for the people in Grant County.
Sure. And then my next thing is,
When I was at, before you start for it, when I was this meeting in Crittenden, I was asked a question I couldn't answer.
Your Honor, I'm getting old and I've got something to say in this place. You want to talk for a week. Okay, you got a minute, sir? Then the fiscal court.
What's your name, sir?
Then the fiscal court and my friend here, Joe Taylor.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Louis Hankins.
Okay.
You know me? I remember you when you worked for your daddy years ago down in Dry Ridge. I've been pretty ill.
You remember I dumped that load of lumber out on 25?
No, I don't remember that.
I didn't do that. Just-
I remember a lot of other things, but
Go ahead, sir. Speak up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I'm glad because I'm getting up there. How you doing, Joe?
All right, sir.
You know what? We've been on state police together, right?
Yes, you're on state police?
You know that.
Who's detective?
You know it. You said it on Friday. Now, we don't believe red, do we?
Gray, sir.
Absolutely. We believe gray. And when you say something that's gonna affect my blood color and make a statement on Friday about that I was able to get my son out of jail because he was arrested for DUI on 3 occasions.
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about, sir.
Well, we're not on that subject right now.
But I want to leave. I've been sick. I gotta go home. I had to drive a long way to get here, and I wouldn't be here now with all the tumult that you've been causing up here in Grant County, and I'm tired of it. I've got it on tape. Every word that was said on Friday, you remember? Now, you want me to go get a lawyer? I will. But I'm telling you right now, sir, what you did was wrong.
You need to leave, sir.
I'm gonna leave, but I got to say what I said, and you heard me. You heard me, Joe.
Yes, sir.
I hope you got this on tape. All right, Bobby,
How you doing?
you looking old.
I'm getting old.
Sorry, madam.
you're fine, sir.
Knock yourself out. Mark Twain said, whenever I go to Congress, I've never seen a body of men with tongues so handy and information so uncertain. And if they one of them been around when the Creator was on the point of saying, let there be light, we never would have had it. Good night.
Tonight. Okay.
Now, getting back to that question that I couldn't answer at the city building. They asked me, they said, Bobby, did you ever consider thinking why that Grant County was the only county in this area that did not have a tax exempt? Boone, Kenton, Pendleton, I couldn't answer that question. I don't know why that Grant has never entered into a tax district for the, FAR and EMS and all that stuff. But, Jim Purcell told me that every county that touched Grant County, and we was the only county that didn't have a taxing district to make up funding for ambulances and stuff like that. Questions like that, we need to answer. He wanted me, he said, Bobby, why don't you call some of these other counties and find out? And he said, you'll find out with the tax district. He said, there's a lot more money, and it's divvied out, But anyway, we've got a lot of things unanswered that we need to focus on.
And my point tonight was not to drill anybody. It was thoughts that I have had that I was hoping that if you did have them or if you didn't, for you to think about. Because, and I'll leave this with my last thing, I promise I won't keep you all night, is my biggest concern was that in the proposal, that 5% annual increase, okay? And I understand that we can only contract for 1 year, and it could possibly be automatically renewed, but it's not a guarantee, okay? So even with that 5% in there, you put any number, and either party has the ability to come back and say, no, we have to adjust this, or we want something there.
And it will happen.
And it will, because that's my concern. I did some rough, very rough estimated numbers, okay? And I'm talking rough. For them to do the 3 trucks here in the county, their personnel cost alone is $700,000 minimum. Okay? So that's just to keep personnel. That's not the truck, that's not the supplies, that's not fuel, that's not any of that stuff. So my concern is for us going into something and then next year we get a big boost.
What did you base that $700,000 on?
I did just their minimum salary, what their minimum salary starting in was, the number.
Benefits and all, was that included?
I'm sorry?
Was there benefits included?
No.
That's just salary.
I'm just looking at salaries, and I did a 1% retirement, thinking they probably have a 401k. I did a 1% salary in there. So those are just concerns that I have.
For what it's worth, we've pushed back and asked for them to come back with a lower cost, because the reality is the majority of, through prior legislation, everyone's supposed to have some form of health care, so someone's billing someone's insurance company, so there's money being generated on that front as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are the things that when I wake up at night that I've been thinking, that I just wanted to make sure that you're thinking of also when you're trying to make these decisions.
And Amy, I've been studying your all's proposal, and then I get to AMRs, and what keeps sticking is the cost share for the total of $1,323,323. And then I get back to AMR, and it's $450,000.
Uh-huh.
So
when I was doing some projections as far as, I did a rough estimate if they put in so much, let's say they did an employee-only insurance, health insurance, okay? Because most places don't pay more than just the employee, So I said, okay, what if they did like $300, $350 a month for that? And then I divided out their trucks, okay? If they pay $85,000 for their trucks, you amortize that out for 5 years. What is it? So when I was getting up there, I was looking at $900,000 easy in costs, okay? If you take out what we have to pay in our retirement, because you can't compare retirement to retirement. They can put in maybe 3%. I'm putting in, almost getting ready to put in close to 50%.
Right, and what's to come.
Okay,
Yes.
so I can't control that. The state controls that. But let's just say if we just take that out and just put in 3%. So if I really try to do apples to apples, there are things that I could come down. Now, I can't control those costs because they're there. I mean, I have to pay the state regardless.
They're fixed.
Right, I mean, even if I wanted to control cost on those, I can't. There's nothing I can do. And the same thing that you guys are struggling with your pay raises, we struggle with the same thing. For what those guys get paid to go out on, they're saints, because there ain't no way that I would go out and do what they do for the amount of money they get paid. But I'm in the same boat. We don't have it to give raises because it's not there. So there are things that I could get a whole lot closer if I had to really try to compare apples to apples and really look at and not knowing what their true costs are. But see, if they balance bill, that makes a huge amount of difference because they make up their revenues coming in based on what their bill is, not what they're allowed
Well, let me
to
say
bill.
something here. I don't mean to interrupt you. I just had a job done by Century Construction. They bid it, they won it. I had other companies bid them, didn't get it. Because they couldn't meet their cost either. So I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay, so what I'm saying is they are larger, okay? And if they can,
Well, yeah, but because you're larger doesn't mean you.
no, but if I have a different revenue source coming in,
I know.
okay? So, but here's the thing. If I can bill you $5,000 and I can go after you however I want to get that $5,000, okay? And Joe is only allowed to bill you $200. Regardless of what he does, he provides the same service I do. He can only bill you $200.
So
But it cost him $500 to do it. What do you think his bid's gonna be?
well, I'm saying to you that we have to go by what the county's paying.
I
for.
understand,
I don't
Judge,
get-
but-
I get your point, but I don't get it.
But what you keep saying is you wanna do what's best for the citizens. What I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to do what's right for the citizens. I'm asking you to take everything in the whole picture. Don't look at just $1 and $1 because you're not comparing apples to apples. Because if you have your citizens, start losing their homes and going into bankruptcy.
That's not my fault. If people made bad financial decisions in their lifetime or whatever.
No, because
Look, we got people who work at McDonald's out paying this payroll tax, and I hate it. But they're the same people who work at McDonald's in Boone County, Kent County, and they're paying
they
it.
pay
Because
it.
people at McDonald's have to pay, and I hate it, because I got that thrown at me too. But I had my dad picked up, and he had to pay the full amount of the ambulance service. He had to pay it.
Okay,
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
that's okay. My thing is not everybody it's not even bad financial decisions. It's just life. Not everybody has money sitting in the bank.
That's right.
And God, I wish everybody did, but there are bills that come into people, and I just don't want to see us bankrupt a family because we are with a company who is not going to think about that they're going to go after our citizens.
We'll ask the question from that standpoint. And
We
line
need
with
to
that,
move on.
yeah, I do want to make one more comment, though, Judge, as it pertains to this topic real quick. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dry Ridge hasn't in the past billed their city residents in prior, right?
As of when we went
Why aren't
in.
you?
As, hold on, let me finish.
It kind of bothers me.
Okay,
And
you
if
be
want
quiet
us
for a
to
minute,
sub-
and hold
and you
on,
want us
let
to
me
subsidize
finish. You don't let
Dry
people
Ridge.
interrupt
No,
you, so you
you're
stop.
done.
No,
Okay,
I'm
let's
not.
go on.
No,
Yes,
because
you are
this-
done too.
Jacqueline,
The
what
meeting,
happens
guys,
is,
no.
the
You've been going for
fiscal
20 minutes,
court.
you had 2 questions. You
No,
have
I
all the thing
didn't.
to say?
I had a list of questions.
Okay.
I will ask this question later.
I've heard a lot of terms that have been used, invitation for bid and request for proposal. I think that you need to discuss internally and decide which path you want to go. They're two distinctly different procurement processes. The specifications that you should write should have a minimum requirements as well as a minimum service requirement, so you can give all the bidders the flexibility to choose how they're going to fulfill the requirements for the services that the county is soliciting. Whether it is fixed trucks, whether it's a moving matrix model that many of the private companies use. Because if you dictate to them how they do their business, then the fiscal court is assuming the responsibility for the delivery of the service, when in fact, one of the reasons why you contracted this out is then the responsibility for delivery is shifted to the party to whom you're contracting for that The other thing is, create a list and a very defined list of information for which, or which you want the proposals to follow, so that you're able to look at two documents that theoretically should be structured very similar, and also create an evaluation criteria, whether you follow the invitation for bid process or the request for proposal process. You have a very succinct evaluation list. Now, your evaluation criteria does not have to be published many times. However, a top-level list of your evaluation criteria in order of precedence is published. Sometimes you also publish that with a weighted list of how you're weighting that. That's up to the court how you want to structure that. When you receive your proposals, create a very structured process from which you're going to evaluate your proposals. And you evaluate the proposals against your criteria. You do not evaluate your proposals against the other proposal. Theoretically, you look at one, you write your evaluation, and then you look at the other, you write your evaluation. If there are clarifications, if the two come in that are slightly off and you need clarifications, you do submit in writing clarifications to the parties for whichever ones you need clarifications, so that you can come to a consensus. And if you're doing an IFB process, you have to ascertain that the bidders that you're going to consider hiring meet the minimum technical criteria for which this is the service that you're wishing to procure. The invitation for bid in that event, that both meet the minimum criteria, you can award to the lowest bidder. The RFP process, you can create some flexibility to create an award based on best value to the fiscal court and residents. So I would be happy to offer my services in setting this up. I have a significant amount of experience doing this.
I do not doubt.
Thank you.
Okay, this meeting's over.
No, there's a gentleman sat back here for all night. Let him talk.
Me.
Oh,
You asked me to come to a caucus meeting.
I didn't ask you to come, sir.
You didn't ask me to come tonight. You told me when I met with you about 2 months ago, you wanted me to come to a caucus meeting and discuss
It's
the
gonna be in about 2 weeks or so.
Right, and that's been 2 months. So I sent everybody an email. I want to talk about the improvements I want to make at the judicial center. You sent me an email, sent it to Chuck, to Sheriff Fields, saying that the AOC would not approve the changes that I wanted to do because it doesn't meet the criteria that their specs. I sent my plans to the AOC. They approved my plans. They said they would approve them. That I can make the changes, but they're not going to pay for it. Okay? So here's my question. By KRS, the Judicial Center generates its own amount of money. It generated, in 7 years, it's generated $365,482.37. And you put that in the general fund. I'm okay with the improvement I want to do being put in next year's budget. But the Judicial Center generates its own money by KRS, the upkeep and the expenses that are incurred by the Judicial Center.
You help pay the payment on it?
The AOC pays the payment on the Judicial
No, we
Center.
pay.
No, the AOC does. The AOC pays the $1.2 million payment that's due every year for the Judicial Center. And then on top of that, they pay us a little over $40,000 a year on fees that we collect from citations, from filings, from this, from that, and the other. And then they also give us, in fiscal year 2016, the AOC paid $55,100 in utilities for the Judicial Center. The county didn't pay that, the AOC did. They also paid janitorial services of $40,600. They paid insurance of $29,800. They paid a recurring maintenance fee of $56,700, a non-recurring maintenance fee for parking lot repairs of $5,672, and they paid the $1.2 million payment on the Judicial Center in fiscal year 2016. In fiscal year 2016, the Grant County Judicial Center generated $40,000.
We've heard all these numbers before.
Okay.
I want to go home. What do you want?
I want you to put in the budget next year to do the improvements I want
Chuck
to do.
Dillon can put it in his budget and pay for it.
It's not, but what I'm
You're
telling
working
you
for the
is,
Sheriff's Department, sir.
I understand that. What I'm telling you is the Judicial Center generates their own money to pay for the improvements that I'm asking to pay for. You put that money in the general fund. That's what you do with it.
Well, those are fees that every county gets. Sir.
Okay, but every county doesn't put them in the general fund. I don't even have a
There's
line
not
item.
a county in the state that has this bulletproof.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. I'm trying to be preventative, not reactive.
Well,
Okay?
I
So I'm
think
not-
it's way overboard.
You're not the one that sits there every day with 500 people to protect, are you? I am.
Well,
I am. I'm the
I know.
director of court security, not you.
But there's other people in 119 counties sit there every day.
It doesn't matter. Their courthouse is designed totally different than my courthouse.
Well, I know, but, they
I'm
decided.
just telling you, we generate the money.
I don't think the court
I sent the
should-
managers an
I don't
email.
think the court should have to pay that. I think that Chuck ought to put his budget, if y'all wanna do it, he'll pay it. What's the difference?
Jacqueline,
I had a clarity question from when I had met with you back when, I don't have the date. The one bid that you had gotten from, the Jack's Glass, were you able to get other bids pertaining?
no, I contacted 5 other companies and no one else would give me a bid.
Okay, and, I haven't seen it in a while, but I recall where they had given the credit, for it to be below 20 grand. So I would still be requesting if we can make sure that we've done our due diligence to get the other bids so that it's not, on the surface appearing that that credit was given so that it's under 20 grand.
He gave me, he put the credit, I didn't ask for the credit.
And I know that you didn't.
Yeah,
but
he
with
knows
those-
it'd be 20,000.
Well, I understand, he may know that, but.
And
We
so.
paid him for 15,000.
So, but what I wanted to make sure is that when we cross this bridge for next budget year, and if it's put into the budget, and whether it's the sheriff's department's budget or the county's budget, as we are in planning process, the judge will be, and the sheriff will be this quarter planning for next budget year. I would want there to be the due diligence and the documentation on your end that you've reached out to others for the quotes, because some may pull that in years to come if it is approved and see that it was magically right below 20 grand, and I don't want there to be any red
You got a
flags.
good point,
I
Chuck.
understand that, and like I said, I
Real good.
contacted 5 other companies, I had one other company come out and take the measurements and look at it,
Did you,
other than Jack's Glass.
were you able to send him that other contact that you had? Okay. I just, that was the one thing that I recall that gave me a little bit of anxiety as it pertains to transparency. And someone may pull that years down the road if it's approved and it's budgeted.
Well, it's like you said before, I contacted 5 companies, I had 2 companies come, one company gave me a bid, one company came out, took the measurements, and never gave me a bid. So I don't know what else I can do other than call them and ask them to come give me a bid. If they refuse to do that, or don't call me back, then my hands are kind of tied.
Well, and so that's what I would be asking, is to reach out to them again. I know that I had sent a screenshot of 20-some people within the Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio when I did searches on Google just to find out entities that deal with glass, in spirit of attempting to get other quotes, because I don't want anyone to think when they see that proposal or that bid that it's right below 20 grand and there was a credit given that got it below 20 grand, so did that prevent the bidding process?
But I did contact 5 other companies. My argument is that the Judicial Center generates its own money, and that money goes directly into the general fund. It generates money off fees, from citations, from filings, from divorce filings and everything. That money is generated by the Judicial Center. They send a bill every month to the AOC, and then the AOC sends that money back to the county, and that county,
The clerk sends his fees, and so does the sheriff.
and that money is put into the general fund.
Because then we went spend it on bulletproof glass.
It's supposed to be spent on expenses for the courthouse. That's what it says by KRS.
Well,
Expenses for the courthouse.
when I called that guy back 4 years to see if they would want to change their mind, he said absolutely not. And I wrote my letter that they meet all the criteria for it.
Correct, it's above the criteria.
Well, sure, he's gonna say it's okay to do it now, because he's not gonna pay it out.
In your email, he said that they wouldn't approve it, which is not true. In your email, he said they would not approve it, which
No,
is
that
not
is
true.
true. He told me he would not approve it.
That's not what the email he replied back to me with that I have.
Well, he changed his mind, because he told me I would not approve that for, I'm telling you, that's right. Now, if he changed his mind, that's just fine.
That's fine, Judge, I understand that, but what I'm telling you is in email, he says they will not pay for it, but he approves the changes.
He will not pay for it, but he approves the change.
Right, but it's.
Well, that's interesting.
If they want to pay for it, that's fine with them.
Okay, well, I mean, I'll give somebody $500 now if they wanted it, they'll, I mean, that's.
I'm just saying, you asked me to come to a caucus meeting 2 months ago, you said in a couple of weeks, it's been 2 months, so I waited long enough that I figured I ought to come.
Well, we were gonna do it, and if we did do it, I didn't want to do it.
I know, that's why you didn't invite me to a caucus meeting.
That's right, and I didn't appreciate you showing up here the way you did.
That's true. It's a caucus meeting.
You could at least call and told me.
Been said-
All right, meeting's over.